Hey, yo, I'm on a boat. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, this drink that I have in my hand, this glass here rather, yeah, that was full for the purpose of this intro, but yeah, I already drank it all. Well, hello everybody, Anthony here. Welcome back to another cruise-filled episode of the Single Parents Podcast. This is the podcast for anybody whose life may have turned out a little less than traditional. Thank you all so much for joining me today. You're with me on my vacation, baby. Yes. As I'm sure you were able to assume from the title of this episode, yes, I am in fact on a cruise ship, a 5-day cruise. Yes, I left a port in Southern California and made my way down to Mexico. We did Cabo. We're in Ensenada, Mexico today, baby. It's been nice. Oh, man, let me just tell you something. Your boy, he's been out there doing a lot of dancing, staying up late into the night at the club, getting down, getting groovy, eating a really lot of good foods, drinking a lot of really good drinks. So my cruise, they have like this drink package, right? So for like a set amount of money, like $200-$300, I don't know, I'm gonna have to go look, but you're able just to get up to 15 drinks per day within like a 24-hour period. You just can't pass 15 drinks, otherwise you're gonna get billed to your room. But 15 drinks, I can handle that because it's actually been nice because every time you go up to the bar to order a drink, you still have to sign the little receipt and it still tells you how much the drink would be normally if you just paid individual without the drink package. And those babies are like $14 to $15 each. So like the first day, because you better believe your boy maxed out those 15 drinks per day. So I paid for that thing all in the first day. Easy money. And yeah, but I still feel good. I'm still alive, still able to get behind a mic and record a podcast episode. So I'm fine. But it's been really nice. I think ultimately what I want to do for this episode, just to do a little setup, is I want to just share with you a few things that I've just been really thinking about for myself as an SP myself, a few things I've been thinking about for you, my fellow SPs out there, as you think through your own self-care and goals and ambitions and things like that. I just want to share what's been on my mind. Yeah. No. I haven't just been out dancing with beautiful women all week. I haven't just been taking down margaritas like they're nothing all week. No. Your boy, he's been able to slow down and get intellectual. Okay. Listen, I read a book yesterday, people. I sat on a beautiful, comfortable couch and I read a book, okay? So stop. We're going to be fine. We're going to get a little deep. We're going to talk for a second. I'm all right. But no, it's going to be good. We're going to have some good conversations. So thank you all for joining me today. Before we get into that good, a few things I'd like to ask you to do. The first big thing is maybe consider hitting subscribe on the podcast, turning on notifications so you never miss an episode in the future, because I'm not going to be on this boat forever. Unfortunately, I have one more full day here on the ship and in Ensenada before heading back to reality, and then we've got plenty of stuff to talk about once I get home, I'm sure. But so you never miss one of those episodes going forward, make sure you hit subscribe. And then the next thing I might ask you to do is just maybe consider sharing the podcast. Share the podcast with a friend, with a family member, with somebody on the cruise ship with you. There's a whole bunch of friendly folks all around. If you ever do one of these things, I'm sure an easy conversational starter to have with your fellow cruise passengers is recommending a good podcast. And now you have one to pass along to them. And then you have a cruise friend for the rest of the week. Little pro tip right there for you. And then last but not least, only do this if you think the podcast is worthy, only if you think this is legit. I'm on vacation. I'm relaxed. So if you don't think the show is good enough to do this, I'm still gonna have a really good day. So don't worry about me. But if you think the show's good enough for this, maybe consider rating the show 5 stars, highest rating possible on your favorite platform. That way, it just tells those algorithms out there that the show is legit and it passes it along to more people. All right, let's get it. All right. Sorry again if there's some background noise. We're literally sitting at a port at a docking area, whatever they call it, in Ensenada. So there might be ships going by and seagulls making their seagulling noise. But it's all right. Yeah, it's okay. We're relaxed. We're vibing. We're good. We're chill. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning. So as I said in the intro, I just have a few, actually three to be specific, even though I'm pretty sure that's what a few means is three. But I have three things I just want to share with you as I embark on my last day on my vacation before heading home. The first big thing is just about my thoughts on self-care in general. So just to get real for a sec, the days, I'd say, perhaps the week, but specifically the last 3 days leading up to this vacation, were not so easy. And you might think, Anthony, what? Why would getting ready to go on a cruise ship to Mexico for 5 days with a 15 drink per day drink package prepaid, beautiful women everywhere, good music everywhere, great food everywhere? Why would that not be easy? That sounds like the most easy thing in the whole entire world. Well, let me tell you. It's because this boy right here, your boy right here, really loves and values being a dad. Really loves and values his kids and spending time with his kids and just being surrounded by his kids for as much time as possible. I know there's some parents out there who don't love hanging out with their kids. Not just like, oh, I hang out with my kids, but my kids are annoying, so I need a break. We all feel like that. But there's some, I'm using air quotes for the audio listeners, parents out there who have opportunities to have time with their kids and make up excuses often not to utilize that time, especially single parents who are co-parenting. You guys know, some of you are in parenting partnerships with these individuals to where have them taking their kid for a little bit. Them taking their kid every other weekend is like pulling teeth, right? It's they don't value spending time with their son or daughter, and that's sad. And I don't really understand that, but that's an episode for another day. But for me, I love hanging out with the kids. I value that time. So when there's times like this or time like this, where not only am I sailing and driving hundreds of miles away from my kids, like that was interesting, but being on this cruise ship, the cellular service has been basically non-existent. You can purchase like Wi-Fi packages and stuff like that and have internet and access, but I chose not to do that because I really wanted to get the most out of this time away for my own self-care and my own mental health and to really detach. And I'll talk more about that aspect here in a second. But for me to do that, I just had to get off the phones. And part of getting off the phones was just trusting that they're in obviously really, really, really great hands with their mom. They're staying with their mom, obviously, for this week. But they went to their mom's house a little bit early, so I had time to travel to make it onto my cruise ship. So normally we do the 7 days with me, 7 days with her. We do the alternating week thing. That's just the normal schedule for us. But they're going to be with her for like a total of 10 days, maybe a little bit more. And I think, honestly, I was thinking, I think that might be this might be the longest I've been away from my kids since they were born. I don't think I've been away from them for more than like a week or so. So all that build up to say, time away from my kids, leaving my kids, traveling hundreds of miles away from my kids, not being in contact with my kids for like 3 days now. I called them like right when I got on the ship and FaceTime so they could see the shipping port in Southern California and see my room and stuff like that. But once we set sail, I haven't talked to them. I won't talk to them until tomorrow. But all of those factors, as I was thinking about those realities leading up to the cruise, I just experienced a whole lot of guilt and anxiety guilt for the fact that I was going on a vacation by myself without them. I just, again, for my own mental self-care state, I just decided that for this year, next year, we're going to plan some stuff. We're going to do some family stuff. I'm not always going to take solo trips every single year. I want to make memories with them. But for this year, at least, just decided to do me for my own ability to check in on myself, to pamper myself, to self-care myself. That way I can truly go home and the rest of the year hopefully be rejuvenated and relaxed and all the things, so I can continue being a great dad and great friend and great employee and all these things. But especially when you're doing the single parent thing, it's hard to find time in the day to do even the smallest acts of self-care, right? We talk on the show about reading a book, about maybe having 10 minutes at the end of the day for meditation or going on a walk or watching your favorite show. And those are great. And we push those things a lot, but sometimes it's just hard, right? It's hard. Life can be hard. Life can be exhausting. Life can be demanding to the point where you want to do those things. You want to prioritize those things, but then you look down and a whole week has gone by since the last time since the last time you actually even checked in on yourself, since the last time you really took a breath, were able to exhale for more than 10-15 minutes. So for this year, that was a priority for me. I wanted to practice what I preach on the show and get away and do just me, at least for this year. But I felt guilty about that. I felt guilty about the fact that I was doing technically something for myself without my kids, practically and then even financially. Because this cruise itself, it didn't break the bank. Like, I'm not, indebted to the mob or anything for the ability to pay for this cruise. Like, it was a recently priced, affordable cruise. I saved up for it. I planned for it. I did things the right way. But still, the money that I invested in this cruise is money I was thinking leading up to it. I was like, oh, we could have used this money for bed sheets. The girls need new bed sheets. We could have used this money for, I don't know, doing our own little mini trip. We could have used this money to, I don't know, all these different things I was thinking about. And so I felt guilty about using the money for myself rather than something for the family. And I don't know, it was rough. So those 3 days were rough for the reasons of guilt. And then anxiety, same thing, really kind of same ideas. The idea of being anxious, being away from my kids that long, and really putting a lot of trust, which I do, obviously. I do have a lot of trust for the girls' mom. I know that they're safe and taken care of. I know if anything goes down, she's got this. She's a boss. She's amazing. But still, your parents, I don't have to over explain this. The feeling of that anxiety of the fact that when you're just not with your kids, like literally they're just not with you. It's weird being a parent. When your kids are like right here with you, on you, you're like, go away, I need a break. But then when they're not like immediately with you, especially if you have younger kids, you're still anxious because it's like, well, where are they? Where I need them by me. And so like this is constant battle, right? So it was interesting leading up to the departure date. So what I had to do is really just do a lot of preaching to myself, a lot of coaching to myself. And I talked to some other people about this, who really encouraged me as well. But I just had to do some things to really remind myself why taking time away like this is so important. Because if I really want to succeed for the long haul as a dad and as an entrepreneur and as a podcast host and all these things, I need to see time like this. I kind of said the word already, but to see times like this, these getaway self-care times, as an investment in myself, really, because I often believe that I can be a Superman dad, do all these things and go 100 miles per hour all the time. And I believe I have the strength to do that. But at the end of the day, I'm still human. At the end of the day, I'm still Anthony. We say on the show all the time, like, my identity is not just being a dad. My identity is me, and I'm a lot of different things, and I have a lot of different things I want to accomplish, and a lot of things I want to work towards. So if at the end of the day it's going to take me to accomplish and do all those things, then there's going to be times where I'm going to really need to invest in me to make sure that I'm mentally and emotionally and spiritually and all those things healthy and good and rested, so that way I can accomplish those things. If I keep going like the way that I was for this last, I don't know, several years. Somebody asked me recently, like, hey, well, when's the last time you actually took a real vacation like this? It was at least 5 or 6 years ago. So 5 or 6 years of nonstop going and moving, and every single day having something to figure out and to work through, and broken refrigerators and gymnastics and cars breaking down and parent teacher conferences and book fairs to make sure you have cash for, and all these different things. Then eventually, all the long-term things that I want to accomplish, maybe I would still be able to accomplish them, but I think being able to get away and spend time with myself and to ask myself some questions and figure out what I want to do and check in on myself. I truly believe that going forward, as I look to accomplish those things, I'm going to be able to accomplish those things in a more mentally healthy manner now, because I truly did take these 5 days total to invest in myself and to make sure that I'm good as I continue to move forward until I step into all these things and continue to parent well and so on and so forth. So just using that word investment as a way to really ensure that I get the most out of this trip, and I'm not just constantly looking at the clock wondering, okay, well, when do I get home to my kids? When do I get home to my kids? Like, I definitely miss my kids and I'm excited to see them, but I really wanted to get the most out of this time, and I truly believe that I've done that. So for you single parents listening to the show, I would just highly encourage for you to really find some time, something, some way for you to invest in yourself, like I've chosen to do this week. And maybe you're not in a spot where you're able to go on a cruise and do all this sort of stuff, or go on a vacation away from your kids. Maybe you literally just can't. Like, hey, Anthony, I'd love to be able to literally put some distance between me and my kids, but I don't have a co-parenting situation. I have a full-time, just me, solo parent situation. So I can't do what you just did. And if that's your case, I totally get that. I understand that. That's cool. But I still think finding time, whether even if it is 10 minutes in the day, to prioritize investing in yourself. So we talk a lot about self-care, a lot of mental health stuff, but see it as an investment. Even if those 10 minutes do produce a lot of guilt and anxiety in you, just the same way I had to work through that the 3 days leading up to the cruise, maybe 10 minutes of self-care for you produces the same guilt and anxiety. See it as an investment. See that walk that you take at the end of the day by yourself as an investment. See the glass of wine that you pour for yourself at the end of the day before you go to bed as you read your book as an investment. See maybe you are able to take a vacation with yourself or with some friends or with family away from the kids. See that as an investment. Make sure that you prioritize investing in yourself. That way you can keep rocking and rolling and succeed truly at all the things you want to do. And the next thing I've been thinking about while sipping on margaritas on a cruise ship deck this week is the fact that, you know what? A lot of times for me, I'll just say, I think this segment's going to be mostly speaking for myself. And if you're able to relate to this, then cool. If not, I get it. But this is how I am when it comes to life and things that need to be figured out and overcome in life. A lot of the times I will spend a good amount of energy and thought worrying and stressing about things that are just really trivial and ultimately out of my control, right? Like as a single parent, you have to figure out things. You got to make sure your schedule's aligned with everything that you and your kids really need to do in a day. You got to make sure the budget's looking good. You got to make sure the house is clean. You got to make sure there's food in the fridge and work is fine and all these things. So, yeah, that's fine. You got to figure that stuff out. But as we know, when it comes to life, there's always little stuff popping up and little inconveniences and stresses and headaches and things that just like, oh my gosh, there's always something. There's always something. I feel like I say that very often in frustration, like, oh, seriously, there's always something. And I just expend a lot of energy stressing and worrying about those little always somethings. And I was thinking as I was literally in the middle of the ocean, this right here, if you're watching the video version of this is like my room balcony. So you can step out from your room. My door's right there. Step out, and then you can look forward and you can see the ocean. And so I did that one day, stepped out, looked at the ocean, how big and vast and all the things that it is. And I just thought about the fact that my little trivial inconveniences, always somethings back at home, are so small and pointless compared to like the grand scope of everything, right? The world, how big the ocean is. Let's take an inconvenience of my refrigerator went out this year. So at the end of the day, I got it. I just had to go talk to my landlord and they had to get it fixed and order a new one. So it wasn't like the end of the world. Like I knew a new one was coming. But when I first went to it and saw that the bag of ice that I had in the freezer was slowly melting throughout the summer day, I was like stressed and all the things. And it's always something. Now the fridge is broken. Blah. And, it was not an easy day. The day my fridge broke. But then I look out at the giant ocean and all the things and how big the world is, and I was just thinking, like, was it really that big of a deal that day last summer when I lost my mind over the fact that my fridge broke and I now had to go talk to my landlord about ordering a new one? Was it really that big of a deal in the grand scope of things? In the grand scope of things, was it really that big of a deal? One day I forgot to put a sandwich in one of my daughter's lunchbox. So she had to have the school call me, let me know, hey, Anthony, you forgot to pack your daughter a little extra main thing for lunch. Can you drive it up? I live like 3 to 5 minutes away from her school. But in the moment, I was so stressed and like, oh my gosh, now I have to go make her a sandwich and drive it to her school. And I'm working and I got blah, 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 blah. There's always something. There's always something. But in the grand scope of things, was it really that big of a deal? The fact that I had to take 10 minutes away from my normal agenda to run up sandwich up to her, this little inconvenience? No, but I stressed about it. I got upset about it. I expended way too much energy on that one situation that I needed to expend. It just really wasn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. And so really what I want to work on when I get home, this is I talked about something had to work on before the cruise. Now I'm talking about something I have to work on, want to work on after the cruise. And that's the fact that I really just don't want to expend a lot of that energy anymore stressing and worrying about the little inconvenient things. Like I said, the big things that need to be figured out, I'm going to figure them out. Like I'm not going to just go home and bum around all day doing nothing and me and my kids end up homeless, but especially the things that are just out of my control. The refrigerator. I didn't wake up and choose for that to get broken. It just did. Life happens. It was out of my control. There's nothing I could have done. The sandwich thing. Yes, that was in my control because if I just remembered to pack the sandwich, then I could have avoided that situation or double checked her lunchbox before she went to school to see if I packed the sandwich. Could have avoided that situation. But I didn't. And it happened. And I got the call. And at the end of the day, I just had to just run her up a sandwich to her school really quick. It's not that big of a deal. So there's a lot of big things I do need to expend a lot of energy towards to figure out, to work through so we can keep thriving and succeeding as a family. But for the little things that are outside of my control, what is the point of worrying and stressing about those things? What is the point about getting totally upset about those things and reacting to those things in ways that don't even really match the significance of the scenario? Like me forgetting a sandwich and having to run it to my daughter's school is like a 0 to a 1, maybe a 1 or 2 on the significance of the scenario scale. The fridge breaking down, that's, we got to have a fridge for our food and stuff like that. That's probably like a 4 or 5. But I'm reacting at a 8, a 9, a 10 for those low scale, low tier, low level scenarios. Like at the end of the day, it's going to be okay, Anthony. At the end of the day, we're good. You don't have to react at a 9 for a situation that's a 2, 3, 4. Take a breath. Calm down. We're good. You have other things you need to figure out that do warrant those higher level reactions and thoughts and energy levels. So apply all that to those situations, but the low level stuff, especially the stuff that's out of my control, just need to breathe, think about the fact that, okay, this is how I want to react to this situation right now. But remember, remember the cruise, Anthony. Remember the cruise. Remember being in the middle of the ocean. As you think about how big and vast the world is, how big and vast life is at the end of the day, how you want to react about this little situation, truly worth it. And if the answer is no, then I'm just going to take a breath, exhale a little bit, and then I'm just going to deal with it and then move about my day and continue thriving and succeeding. That's going to be my new goal. That's going to be my new philosophy. So I just appreciate this cruise reminding me about just how big the world is. Even just within my own little town, my own little community, within its own little area of there's little dramas and little stresses from people and little annoyances from people. But at the end of the day, that's just one little tiny piece of the world. There's such a bigger world out here. And I'll talk more about that in the last segment. But my little town with its little drama and its little this and that, like, yes, I have to live there. And yes, I want to get along with people. But at the end of the day, the world is just so much bigger. So I need to think bigger. I need to remember that about life. I need to remember that the world doesn't revolve around me and my little small town scenarios. Like it's a big place, and I need to think bigger for myself, especially for how I handle situations, how I engage with people, how I interact with people, how I just see life in general. It's been a good reminder about the fact that the world is so much bigger. And sometimes I make my little piece of the world the most big and extreme aspect of reality that's out there. But it's just like I was walking around Cabo the other day, looking at all these people living their lives and doing their things. They're like, they don't even know I exist. They don't even know my little piece of the world exists. They're out here doing their own thing, hundreds of miles away from where I even live. So all the big things that I think the world revolves around in my little town, no, these people all the way down here, they're not even concerned with the things I'm concerned. They're not even aware that my little piece of the world exists. So for some context for myself, let me remember how big this world is, and let me be able to use that truth to assess my realities, to assess what I need to stress and worry about, for me to assess how much energy I need to put out to certain situations. And hopefully that'll help me relax a little bit more, get some good perspective, and be able to remember the fact that things are going to be okay. And at the end of the day, if something happens, if the fridge breaks, the world's not going to end, because the world is so much bigger than my little house and my little town. And yeah, that's just for me. It's like I said, that's just something I am going to really walk away with. I think I'm going to try to remember. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you need that perspective shift as well. If so, what does that look like for you? What does it look like for you to remember that the world is a lot bigger than just your little piece of it. And not saying that you're not significant, not saying the things you have to figure out aren't significant, but perspective wise, right? Really engaging in the fact that the things that I'm truly stressing and worrying about and think I need to lose my mind over, are they really that big of a deal at the end of the day? Is it really that big of a deal at the end of the day? I don't know. I think we could tend to relax a little bit more, because I think that at the end of the day that we worry and stress about a lot of things that in the grand scope of things aren't really that big of a deal. But I'm speaking for myself. If you can relate, let me know. Use the email, thesingleparentspodcast@gmail.com, or all of our socials. DM me. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Can you relate to me when it comes to that? Because that's going to be a big takeaway that I'm going to walk away from the cruise remembering. If you made it to this point of the show, this is the part of the episode that we like to call Deeply Single. This is the deep end of the episode where we get a little extra deep, we get a little extra real as single parents. And for Deeply Single, I'm just going to share my third takeaway from this cruise. The third thing I really been thinking about, chewing my teeth on, and it comes from the statement, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. Ultimately, the whole concept of this statement centers around the fact that we often strive for things, right? We often want to accomplish certain things or are working towards a certain goal, but sometimes people will work forward to those goals just with the next step in mind. Like, all right, I kind of know what I want to do, but so let me just take it day by day. I'll figure it out. I'll just kind of assess where I'm going along the way, and we'll just take it step by step. The whole point, though, is that truly successful people, before they've even taken their first step, they really have the ability to sit down and define what their end goal truly is. So that way, they're not just figuring out as they go along. They already know the destination. They already know where they need to get, so they can properly and specifically and intentionally map out each step on the way, because they know 100% where they're going and where they need to be. And I think that's been really good, because I've really been able to have a lot of time to think about what my end goal truly is. Because I do a lot of stuff. I'm here, I'm there, I'm podcasting, I'm running business stuff, I still working my 9 to 5, I have kids, I got this, I got that, friendships I'm investing in. So of all those things that I do, I had to sit down and think, like, am I just doing a whole bunch of stuff each day, one step forward, just kind of figuring out where I'll figure it out as I go? Or do I truly know where I want to be for myself, where I want to be as a dad, and where I want my family to be? So that way, each day I'm intentionally making steps and strides and progress to get to that destination. Which is it? And I found for myself, it's a little muddy, that answer. Like, on paper, I thought I had it down. Like, oh yeah, in a few years I want to be XYZ, but like it really wasn't clearly defined or truly defined. I think maybe I would have wandered through the woods and gotten there eventually, but now that I was able to sit down and really answer that question and really put some purpose behind that question, I think now I have a more straight and narrow path through the woods to get to where I want to go, and that's been good. And I won't get into like all the stuff when it comes to my end, to where I want to be. But a quick one that I'll just share right now, just being on a cruise ship, being on vacation like this, is like I really want my kids to be able to get out and see how big and vast the world truly is too. So in the second segment, I talked about that when it comes to remembering that perspective, when it comes to the size of the world, to help deal with small level stress and anxiety. But I also want to take away that aspect when it comes to giving my kids experiences to get out and see different cultures and meet different people, and to see truly how large the world is. Because one of my biggest fears has always been that they stay stuck in the same little town that we live in and only know the same mindset and voting mentality and job opportunities that are within the confines of that town, and think that, well, this is just what I have to do, who I have to be. I guess I just need to look like the women around me, or vote like the people around me, or talk and be like the people around me, because I just don't know anything else. I don't know what else is out there. I've never got to experience what else and who else is out there. So I guess I just need to look like this. Always been one of my biggest fears, because thankfully my parents growing up um, provided opportunities for me and my siblings to get out and to do trips and to live all across the country and to see what's truly out there. And I truly do want that for my girls as well. So when I think of what is my end goal is to create a lifestyle for me and my kids to where we can get out and we can experience the vastness of the world. So now that I have that defined, I know what I need to work towards. I know what things I need to expend my energy on throughout each and every day to get to that end goal in mind. And that might not happen next month or next year. It might be a few years before we achieve that goal, to where we're at a point in our lives as a family where we can get out and experience the vastness of the world. But I know that's where I'm going, so I'm working towards that destination. What is your end goal? Truly, what is your end goal? And don't make it like vague, like, oh, I just want to have more money, or I just want to eventually, have a different job, or have some more time to do XYZ. Like, really sit down and define it. What is your end goal? For me, my end goal is to get my kids away from only knowing the town that we live in, so they can experience the vastness of the world, so they can truly form as they grow who it is that they are, who they want to be, and experience the different realities of the world out there. That is my end goal. So you see, that's a lot different than, oh, I want to travel. I want to do stuff with my kids. Big difference between defining those end goals. So what is your end goal? What do you want? Where are you going, single parent? Give that some thought. Give that some definition. And I didn't just make that up. I told you at the beginning of the episode, all right? I wasn't lying. I'm reading books. I'm reading books out here, okay? I'm not just partying at the club all night. So this book that I'm reading, it's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the books I'm getting down on here on this cruise. And they talk a lot in this book about the reality of beginning with the end in mind. And I just wanted to conclude today's episode by sharing a little section from the book that specifically talks about this concept. It says this: the most effective way I know to begin with the end in mind is to develop a personal mission statement or philosophy or creed. It focuses on what you want to be, character, and what you want to do, contributions and achievements, and on the values or principles upon which being and doing are based. Because each individual is unique, a personal mission statement will reflect the uniqueness both in content and form. Your own personal begin with the end in mind statement. Here's just some things to think about, maybe for yourself. Maybe these are some good truths and values you want to live by. I want to succeed at home first. I want to seek and merit divine help. I never want to compromise with honesty. I always want to remember the people who are involved in my life. I always want to hear both sides before judging. I always want to obtain the counsel of others. I always want to defend those who are absent. I want to be someone who's sincere yet decisive. I want to be somebody who plans tomorrow's work today. I want to be somebody who keeps and maintains a sense of humor. I want to be orderly in person and in work. I do not want to fear making mistakes. I want to be somebody who listens twice as much as what they speak. I want to be somebody who concentrates all their abilities and efforts on the task at hand, not worrying about the next job or promotion. Those are just some little things that, if you use those to help shape your end now, can really give you purpose as you go throughout your day to day, as you truly look to define who you want to be, what you want to do, and give some purpose to your next steps. Because single parents, isn't it true? Like sometimes you're just doing so much and you're going from here to there that your days at the end of the day don't, like, you accomplish stuff. Sure, you got some stuff done. You got grocery shopping done. You went and bought your son new pants because he ripped them at soccer practice. You called this person back you needed to call back. But at the end of the day, you're just doing little tasks. Are you just like running around in a circle getting stuff done? But are you really making efforts to go forward, making your way forward through the woods to actually get to an end goal? Or are you just doing a bunch of tasks and staying in the same spot, like swimming around in a circle? I'm using a boat analogy because I'm on a boat. Are you just swimming around in a circle on the boat? Yeah, getting stuff done, but you haven't really actually gone anywhere? Or do you truly know where you're going? Do you know where your destination is? You knew, like, hey, I'm starting in Southern California, but I'm getting to Cabo. Like our captain of our ship, he had a clear, defined definition. So as we went on throughout our voyage, we got stuff done on the ship. The crew did their thing on the ship. Rooms got cleaned. People partied. New friendships were formed. All those activities, all those little small details happened, but did the cruise ship stop getting to its voyage, getting to its destination while all those things were happening? Nah, the cruise ship cruised on, and eventually we got to Cabo. So I'm gonna use that analogy. I'm gonna treat myself like the cruise ship, right? Like I'm cruising along, I'm going to my destination. I know where my end is. I've started the voyage with the end in mind, but throughout the day, stuff still needs to get done. We're going to take care of all the little details, but we're not going to stop the cruise ship in order to take care of those little details. We're not going to stress about those little details anymore. We're moving forward. We're getting to the destination, and it's going to be a good time along the way. Single parents, that's what I want for you. So maybe, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, setting aside some of that investment time for you, right? Some of that self-care investment time. Maybe some of that time needs to look like you sitting down and you doing the work to figure out what your end truly is. Again, your end is not just doing a bunch of little stuff throughout the day, but truly, where do you want to be? What's your destination? Who do you want to be? What's your destination? Figure that out and then apply that end goal to the things that you do every single day, and give those daily activities some true purpose, so that way you're not just swimming around in a circle for the rest of your life. All right, well, those are just some of my thoughts. some of my thoughts here as I continue to relax on this cruise ship. Uh it's so nice. It's so nice. I do miss my kids go. I do miss my kids. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go wrap this podcast episode up so I can go and get the most out of my last day on my vacation. I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna go all out, and then I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna love on my kids, and then we're gonna keep working towards that destination that I mentioned. That's my plan. That's what I'm gonna do for you. I hope you all just have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much for joining me for a little bit of my vacation. Hope you all are doing well. Use the email, use the socials, everything you need to do to get a hold of me. And I love you all. I love you guys. You guys are great. I appreciate you. But I need to go inside and make sure I smell good, because I'm going to go dance with some cuties again tonight, baby. You know how Anthony does it. You all take care. In the meantime, one more time, my name's Anthony. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, you all out there, just stay beautiful. Bye. Adios.